munyarwanda, isuku ni isoko y'ubuzima. Zirikana ko isuku ku bagize umuryango wawe ari inshingano zawe. Isuku kuri buri munyarwanda, igihugu kizira indwara. Radio Imanzi 105.1 FM. Umutekano w'imibereho, iterambere ry'umuturage. Radio Imanzi 105.1 FM. Twese hamwe birashoboka. Gusesagura n'ubupfapfa. Zirikana ko iyo mbimenya ari ijambo ribi, maze ukoreshe neza imari yawe. Radio Imanzi 105.1 FM.
We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
Dear listener, thank you for tuning in. This is Radio Imanzi 105.1 FM, broadcasting from Kigali. Here are the news in English, brought to you by Alvin Umngari. The headlines. President Paul Kagame virtually addressed the 4th edition of Kusi Ideas Festival on December 8th, themed Climate Change Exploring African Responses and Solutions. Rwanda's national cycling team has been selected out of 15 to participate in La Tropicale Amisa Bongo tournament. Peru's leftist president Pedro Castillo was ousted by lawmakers and arrested on Wednesday. Argentina's Vice President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner sentenced to 6 years in prison for corruption. We'll be back with news in detail. Thank you. Welcome back. President Paul Kagame said the climate crisis is a threat to Africa's development and stressed that all hope is not lost because the continent is rich in renewable energy sources, which makes Africa pivotal in the search for climate solutions. The Kusi Ideas Festival is a Pan-African platform that aims to examine Africa's place in the world, its citizen problem-solving, ideas and innovation, as well as how they prepare the path in dealing with the coming challenges.
Excellency, President William Samoei Ruto, Dr. Wilfred Kiboro, Chairman of Nation Media Group, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to begin by congratulating Dr. Wilfred Kiboro and the entire Nation Media team for organizing the 4th edition of the Kusi Ideas Festival. Climate change is a global phenomenon, but the science is very clear that Africa is disproportionately affected by its impacts. The climate crisis is therefore a threat to Africa's development. But we should not lose hope. For one, Africa is rich in renewable energy sources, making our continent pivotal in the search for climate solutions. Second, Africa is home to talented and dedicated youth, spearheading initiatives aimed at building more climate-resilient communities. Lastly, and most importantly, we have a shared vision for a more sustainable and resilient Africa, as outlined in Agenda 2063. Unfortunately, a major hurdle continues to be climate finance. Big emitters must pay their dues, but also need to be serious about mobilizing greater domestic resources. In Rwanda, we have established the Rwanda Green Fund to support public and private projects and drive our country's green economy. No one, however, has everything it takes to face this common challenge alone. Today, we are also faced with a food and energy crisis deepened by the pandemic and the geopolitical tensions. This is yet another blow to Africa's fragile economies. We have the objectives and the timelines. This is good foundation. What Africa needs now are result-oriented partnerships within and outside the continent to translate our ambitions into prosperity for all. You have Rwanda's full support for this excellent homegrown African initiative. I wish you a productive conference, and I thank you for your kind attention.
His Excellency highlighted that there is hope in Africa's potential in providing renewable energy sources on top of being home to talented and dedicated youth spearheading initiatives aimed at building more climate-resilient communities. The head of state also noted that the continent is faced with food and energy crisis deepened by the pandemic and the geopolitical nations. This is yet another blow to Africa's fragile economies. What Africa needs now is a result-oriented partnerships within and outside the continent to translate our ambitions into prosperity for all. Rwanda's national cycling team has been selected out of 15 to participate in La Tropicale Amissa Bongo tournament, which has not been played for 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. La Tropicale Amissa Bongo is a tournament played in different parts of Gabon. Next year, this 2.1 level tournament will be played for the 16th time. The Rwanda national team has been selected from 15 teams that will participate in La Tropicale Amissa Bongo, which is due on January 23rd to January 29th, 2023. For Rwandan athletes, this competition is a good opportunity to prepare for the Tour du Rwanda that will be held on February 19th to February 26th, 2023. Team Rwanda is one of the 20 teams that will participate in this cycling race around the country, along with Benin, Algeria, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Eritrea, Ivory Coast, Morocco, Mauritius, and Gabon. It is joined by 5 other teams, including Total Energies from France, EF Education Nipo Development Team from the United States of America, Beykoz Team from Turkey, Berkos BH from Spain, and Bingoy WB from Belgium. After only 3 weeks from the teams in Gabon will continue their journey to Kigali through the planned roads, completing in the Tour du Rwanda, which will be played for the 15th time. The Rwanda Cycling Association has also set up competitions to be held in the regions they have an agreement with before participating in La Tropicale Amissa Bongo 2023. Officials of the Rwanda Biomedical Center, RBC, who are being prosecuted for flouting of procedures by awarding a multi-billion tender to their fellow employee, have told court that they were not aware that he was working for the same institution. The 7 officials, including James Imanzi, the former Deputy Director General of RBC, were arrested late last month and are alleged to have awarded 3 billion Rwandan francs tender to a company owned by the counterpart Fidel Rwema in 2020. According to the public procurement law, employees of the procuring entity are prohibited from bidding for tenders, since such can lead to favoritism in the process. Other suspects include Fidel Ndaisenga, Jean-Pierre Ndayambaje, Leonci Kairanga. Those are members of RBC's procurement committee. The officials argued that Rwema did his work well, offered a really low price for the service, and had presented everything that was required, which is proof that he has awarded the tender on merit, not favoritism. The prosecutors asked the court to remand the 7 individuals for 30 days as further investigations continue. Over 400 local and foreign exhibitors are expected to participate in the Maiden Kigali Shopping Festival, which opened at the Expo Ground in Gikondo on Thursday, December 8th. Organized by the Private Sector Federation PSF, the festival is set to last nearly 3 weeks, closing on Boxing Day, December 26th. Beside local exhibitors, it has also attracted businesses from Egypt, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Canada, India, Pakistan, Syria, and Turkey. Eric Kavera, the head of communications at the Private Sector Federation, said the festival was a new opportunity for both businesses and shoppers, and we want to help improve the experience of both traders and shoppers during the festive season. He added that the annual shopping festival will serve as one-stop center for the festive season shopping experience, and that there will be attractive discounts for buyers. I will be back with economic news.
Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi.
The trading session recorded a turnover of 727,654,700 rand and francs worth of bonds traded in 2 deals on the fixed income market, and 349,100 rand and francs from 1,400 shares traded in 2 deals on the equities market. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 51,000 rand and francs from 300 shares traded in 1 deal. Equities counters closed as follows: Bank of Kigali at 271 rand and francs, Bralirwa at 170 rand and francs, I&M Rwanda at 43 rand and francs, Simerwa at 120 rand and francs, MTN Rwanda at 175 rand and francs, Equity at 440 rand and francs, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 rand and francs, National Media Group at 1,200 rand and francs, Uchumi Supermarket Limited at 104 rand and francs, and R&H Buffalo at 526 rand and francs. The exchange rate today: the United States dollar was buying 1,051 rand and francs and was selling 1,072 rand and francs. The British pound was buying 1,280 rand and francs and was selling 1,306 rand and francs. The euro was buying 1,103 rand and francs and was selling 1,125 rand and francs. The Kenyan shilling was buying 8.5 rand and francs and was selling 8.7 rand and francs. The Tanzanian shilling was buying 0.45 rand and francs and was selling 0.45 rand and francs. The Ugandan shilling was buying 0.28 rand and francs and was selling 0.29 rand and francs. The Burundian francs was buying 0.50 rand and francs and was selling 0.51 rand and francs. We'll be back shortly with international news.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
A court in Argentina sentenced the country's vice president, Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, to 6 years in prison and disqualified her from holding public office again after finding her guilty of corruption during her early terms as president. Fernandez de Kirchner has temporary immunity due to her current role, so will immediately not go to jail and can appeal. Following the verdict, she denied the allegations against her, but said she will not run for re-election next year. She said, "I will not be a candidate for anything, neither for president nor for senator. My name will not be on any ballot." In court, Argentina's federal prosecutor's office accused her of conspiring with other government officials to award contracts worth millions of dollars for road works that, according to the complaint, were incomplete, overpriced, and unnecessary. In essence, they show the existence of links promiscuous and corrupt among public administration officials, national and provincial, and state contractor companies. According to a document released by Argentina's federal court in Buenos Aires, Fernandez de Kirchner was found guilty of fraudulent administration for disturbing public funds to a construction company for roads works in the province of Santa Cruz during her presidential term from 2007 to 2011 and from 2011 to 2015. Peru's leftist president Pedro Castillo was ousted by lawmakers and arrested Wednesday after trying to dissolve the South American country's Congress in a move widely condemned as an attempted coup. The dizzying series of events in a country long prone to political upheaval resulted in even more history, with Vice President Dina Boluarte later becoming Peru's first woman president. The day of high drama began with Castillo facing his third impeachment attempt since the former rural school teacher expectedly won power from Peru's traditional political elite 18 months ago. Castillo left the presidential palace after the vote with the intention of seeking asylum in Mexico's embassy before he was arrested, according to a police report published by local press. After his arrest was officially announced, the Attorney General office said that Castillo was being investigated for rebellion. Dina Boluarte took the oath of office within 2 hours of the impeachment vote, donning the presidential sash in front of Congress. During the ceremony, she said there was an attempted coup by Mr. Pedro Castillo that did not receive any support in the democratic institutions or out in the streets. She said she intends to serve out the rest of Castillo's term until July 2026. A 60-year-old lawyer and mother, Boluarte had become one of the Castillo's government's best-known faces due to her position as Minister of Development and Social Inclusion, a post she held simultaneously with the vice presidency up until 2 weeks ago when Castillo reshuffled his cabinet a fifth time. Brittany Griner, a star basketball in Women National Basketball Association (WNBA), who has been detained for the past 8 months, was released from Russia in a prisoner swap. President Joe Biden announced on Thursday. The swap involves convicted Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout, commonly known as the Merchant of Death. The Russian businessman, who speaks 6 languages, was arrested in a sting operation in 2008 led by U.S. Drug Enforcement agents in Thailand, posing as the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, known by the acronym FARC. He was eventually extradited to the U.S. in 2010 after a protracted court proceeding. Victor Bout has been an international arms trafficking enemy for many years, among some of the most violent conflicts around the globe. He said Preet Bharara, the U.S. attorney in Manhattan, when Bout was sentenced in New York in 2012. Biden said in a tweet moments ago, I spoke to Brittany Griner. She's safe, she's on a plane, and she's on her way home. The swap did not include another American that the State Department had declared wrongfully detained, said Paul Whelan. The Joe Biden said, I will speak to the importance of Brittany being brought home safely. In his remarks, he also expected to address Whelan and will reiterate the U.S. commitment to ensure Paul Whelan comes home as well. Reports indicate that Biden gave final approval for the prisoner swap, freeing Griner over the past week. Biden was personally involved in the constant touch with his team as his deal came together in the final days and after he gave his personal green light to execute the trade. The Nigerian Afrobeat star Oladapo Oyebanjo, known in showbiz as D'banj, has been arrested over allegations of fraud, according to local media reports. The musician was arrested after millions of dollars meant to help unemployed youth start businesses reportedly got missing. In a tweet, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, confirmed the arrest of the musician over allegedly fraudulent activities associated with the End Power program, a government scheme set up to address youth unemployment and empowerment. The End Power initiative was launched in 2016 by President Muhammadu Buhari, but many beneficiaries have complained about not receiving their grants, according to reports. More than 2 million Nigerians aged between 18 and 35 have benefited from the End Power scheme since it was launched. Nigeria's anti-corruption agency agencies said in a statement on Wednesday that billions of naira had been diverted. At least $629 million was distributed in 2019 to beneficiaries who started small businesses. Dibanj, a self-acclaimed brand ambassador for the scheme, had turned himself in, according to the police. His lawyer said this artist is willing to turn himself in and will cooperate with the investigation. 10 other people, as well as Dibanj, are being investigated. The investigation will be all-encompassing and also be extended to other collaborators of the fraud and the banks where the beneficiaries' accounts are domiciled. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, which oversees the NPower, said it had no official engagement with the artist and that his claims to be an ambassador of the scheme were misleading. The United Kingdom has supported Kenya's efforts in dealing with climate change by donating 550 million Kenyan shilling to aid in reforestation projects. The UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly made the announcement on Thursday during his first visit to the country. Mr. Cleverly expressed the UK's commitment to strengthening relations with Kenya in its efforts to increase forest cover, saying that the donation will go on a long way in supporting the implementation of the project. 550 million Kenyan shillings will support Kenya's efforts to protect, monitor and increase forest cover. He said the fund would aid in boosting the government's 3 pilot projects of planting 5 billion trees, improving water catchment and combating climate change. He was speaking while celebrating 146 million Kenya shilling Earthshot Prize winner, Kenyan climate innovation Mukuru Cook Stoves, alongside electric vehicles company Rome, which was also shortlisted. Mukuru Cook Stoves, which produces low-income cooking stoves of biomass made from charcoal, wood and sugarcane, won the coveted prize, which was established by the UK's Prince of Wales. The announcement by Mr. Cleverly follows President William Ruto and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's meeting at COP27 in Egypt, where the two leaders agreed to fast-track 6 investment projects worth of 500 billion Kenyan shillings. And that brings us to the end of today's program. Let us look at the headlines once more. President Paul Kagame virtually addressed the 4th edition of Kusi Ideas Festival on December 8th, themed Climate Change Exploring African Responses and Solutions. Rwanda's national cycling team has been selected out of 15 to participate in La Tropicale Amisa Bongo tournament. Peru's leftist president Pedro Castillo was ousted by lawmakers and arrested on Wednesday. Argentina's Vice President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner is sentenced to 6 years in prison for corruption. Thank you for staying with me. This was Alvin Umngari on Radio Imanzi. Stay tuned for more programs. Stay safe, stay warm, and have a wonderful night.